part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another Reghi Roda podcast powered by Cleveland Party Rentals and Newark Auto Body. And we've got to give a shout out to the Press Play Podcast Network for having us on board, Chase Smith and company. And of course, to our outstanding producer, Cordts, making sure all of you get this out there in the podcatosphere. And Michael Reghi, we are at the All-Star break for Major League Baseball. We are at the halfway point, as they like to call it. A little bit more than halfway, as the Guardians have played 95 games. And Reg, even though they've been struggling as of late, 7-11 in their last 18 games, 15-15 in their last 30 games, they still own the American League's best record at 58-37, and they lead second place Minnesota by 4.5 games in the AL Central. Your thoughts on the first half, the entire first half, and how concerned are you as they limped into the All-Star break with some of those struggles?
Kenny, I'm not really overly concerned because you and I have been around the block in Major League Baseball seasons for many a year. You're going to have this, right? I mean, you're going to go through periods, 162 games over a course of 6 months. Well, you're going to have stretches where you're not offensively putting many runs on the board. Yep. That's the biggest thing that is plaguing the Guardians right now. And I truly believe they're still going to win the division. They'll fight their way out of this. And now could they potentially go get a bat to maybe help with that offense? I don't think they're going to. I think that they're going to stay with what they have. And again, because for the better part of the first 3+ months of the baseball season, they've played very, very well and done enough to open up that lead in the division. And I think they're going to ride with that and just feel like, listen, there's going to be some struggles here and there. You know, guys are going to struggle individually. Teams going to struggle, but it'll be minimized and it won't last too long. This record that you just mentioned over the course of the last 3 weeks, let's hope that is their most major struggle of the year and they get back on track.
What they will tell you, Reg, is 26 games in 27 days wore us down, right? That's what they're going to tell you as they limped into the playoffs. And you know what? It's probably a fair, I don't want to say excuse, but more of a statement, right? As they'll get 4 games off now with All-Star Weekend, although they've got 5 All-Star representatives, right? Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, David Fry, Emmanuel Clase, and Stephen Kwan. So 5 guys aren't going to get much rest, but the rest of the team is. So that'll be good to help them as they open up the second half at home against San Diego and Detroit. Here's where I'm concerned with the Guardians, Reg. I gave the numbers, 7-11 in 18, 15-15 in their last 30. They're 15-13 within the division, too. That's what concerns me. They're 5-0 against the Minnesota Twins, but against the Royals, the Tigers, and the White Sox, they're 10-13. So that concerns me that they're having trouble within the division. I think they do need to go out and acquire a bat and a starting pitcher before the July 30th trading deadline if they want to hold on to win the division, because right now the starting rotation is Ben Lively, Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams, who's only pitched 3 games but is starting to settle in, and Carlos Carrasco, who's he's an insurance policy that's paying some dividends, but how much more do you want to count on that 37-year-old insurance policy, right? Yep. The 2 guys that are down at AAA are McKenzie and Allen. Will one or both of those guys come back? That's a question mark to me. So that's why I think they need to get a veteran starting pitcher. I'm not talking an ace. I'm talking a number 3 or even a number 4 to bring in here first and foremost, and then add another veteran bat, hopefully that won't cost them too much, that's on the last year of a contract, and you give up a low A prospect or something like that just to provide a little more punch off the bench to spell Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez really their only two home run threats.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get another bat as well. And I'm with you on all the possibilities you threw out there. The pitching, the starting pitching, Kenny, honestly, it does worry me a little bit. But I also look at the division, and as you said, it's ironic, isn't it, that what did you say? We against the White Sox, the Tigers, and was it Minnesota?
No,
So
Royals, Tigers, and White Sox, Reg. They're 5-13. They're 10-13. So they're 3 games under 500 against the 3 worst teams in the division.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising. Second half of the season, you want to see that stop, of course. Yeah. Yes, I would look for the possibility again. You laid it out nicely. If we're not talking about giving up number 1 picks or even players that are significant in from AA and above in the organization that are just about ready to help here at the major league level, I don't want to see them give that up. But again, how concerned are they about it, Kenny? As we know, if you're looking for something that you've put a stamp on, we got to get this better right now. Well, then, that's going to cost you. So how good of a job can Chris Antonetti do to, make that cost as less as possible right now in order to get some help? I mean, that's what it all boils down to. Again, I really can't put any blast on the pitching. Pitching has been pretty good. I'm with you, Carlos Carrasco. To me, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in him. I went up to Motown on Thursday, and I mean that's the game they just got rolled.
Right.
When the Tigers put it on, I think 10-1 or whatever. I forgot what the hell the final score was. I just know it was over early. So, but overall, I still think they've got enough to win the division and be able to put themselves in that position going into the month of, the last 6 weeks of the season, Ken, mid-August throughout the 1st of October, and then on into the playoffs. I think they've got enough. I think they'll win the division. And then beyond that, as we know, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? When we talk playoffs.
Yeah, for me, they can't do any more dumpster diving. They've done that with Spencer Howard. They've done that with Matthew Boyd, right? Those guys, to me, aren't going to help this team get over the hump. If they're going to make a move, they need to go out and target somebody like an Austin Gomber from Colorado or a Cal Quantrill from Colorado. You can look at Andrew Heaney from Texas, Michael Lorenzen from Texas. Those are, Garrett Crochet, Jack Flaherty, probably going to cost too much, right? They're not going to want to give up what the Tigers and the White Sox are asking for those guys. But that's those, the Quantrills and the other guys I mentioned, you might be able to get one of those guys. And the nice thing about Quantrill is, A, you know him. B, he still has arbitration years left. And those are 2 things that the Guardians like, right? So that's why I'm saying no more dumpster diving, no more getting guys off the scrap heap or as you dug through the garbage bags and all the thrown away chicken bones and watermelons from the summer and the corn on the cob husks and all that stuff. You can't dive into those dumpsters for any more pitchers like that. You better go get somebody who's having a nice year, a solid year on a bad team.
No, I'm with you on that. And again, now, given it's going to cost you a little bit more, but I think to me, Kenny, the Guardians are in a state organizationally that it's about winning the division and then taking your best shot in the playoffs, right? Against the other top teams in the American League. Nothing less than that should be worried about in my mind. So while I'm all about, young players in the minor leagues, and yes, as some of them will work their way into being major league prospects. But Kenny, as we know, that's one of the most biggest imbalances in Major League Baseball that every organization's got to deal with. And just because you pick a guy in the first, second round, that's no guarantee of anything. We know that. So, I worry about this year and winning and putting yourself in position. I think they owe it to the fan base. And again, they owe it to every player on that major league team to go out and win as much as you can right now and try to succeed as much as you can, be at a good spot going into the playoffs. That may cost something, but to me, Ken, you got to go ahead and do it.
Reg, I think they owe it to the players in the locker room and the fans. They need to do. Right. They did absolutely nothing in the offseason outside of Austin Hedges, right? That's it.
Yep.
So
that's right.
And they were worried. Their excuse then was, oh, we didn't know what our TV contract was going to be with Bally's. Well, they got the TV contract, right? They got their money at least for this year. They don't know about next year, but for this year. So take that money that you got that you didn't spend before, and don't be afraid to spend it now at the trading deadline. And, and what I mean by that is, I mean, don't be afraid to take on a guy that's got, maybe $7 million left on his contract for the remainder of this year, or has, $2 million left this year and $5 million next year. Use some of that money that you didn't spend and go get that help, because you owe it, like I said, to the guys in that locker room, Stephen Vogt, the first-year manager, and more importantly, the fans who have shown up now for 6, 7 sellouts down at Progressive Field.
100%. Look, you want to, you want to run with the big dogs, then let's go. Do everything you can to put yourself in position to do that. They've been very good in the first half of the season. But there are a couple of things that have shown up, as we just talked about. There are some needs. Go do it. If you feel like you got an opportunity to make yourself better right now, I ain't worried about 2025, Ken. Yep. I'm not, or anything beyond. I don't think this organization can any longer do that. Some people disagree with me, but that's me. You better go out and win as much as you can and put your focus on winning a World Series championship. If that turns out to be pie in the sky, fine. Again, I don't think they're going to win a World Series championship this year.
Right.
But do everything you can to, as you said, put it out there to your fan base, more importantly. And you know what else? To all your competition in Major League Baseball, we ain't going to just run away and try to half-butt this thing, right, and do it on the cheap. Don't do that, because the time for that, it should be long, long gone. Do everything you can to get what you can to put yourself in the best position possible, period. That's the only way I see it now, Ken.
Reg, they've shown up. Or they've showcased, I should say, enough of their young talent, too, for teams to have a look at them, right? We've seen the Angel Martinez's, the Brian Rocchios, the Daniel Schneemans, the Jonathan Rodriguez's, the Noel kid, right? John Kenzie Noel. Yes. So there's enough of these guys. You can't play them all. Who's the shortstop they sent down to AAA again? That was given a chance to be the starter, and he didn't beat out Rocchio. I'm forgetting who that shortstop, that young kid is.
Oh, yeah, me too. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but it's. I was just going to say, and Rocchio to my left, the kid busts his butt, and Kenny, I just don't think he's ever going to be a major league hitter. I don't see it. Not a guy that's going to, because the days of where you can hit 190 and play shortstop and pick it real well and be a star defensively, those days are gone, man. Everybody in that lineup's got to be able to swing the bat. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be able to tell you, boy, was I wrong about Brian Rocchio? Well, right now, I don't see it.
Reg, I wasn't huge on Rocchio when the season started. We've been hearing about some of these young guys, these shortstop. We got shortstop here, shortstop there. We're good up the middle for years to come and whatnot. And it's like, okay, I heard enough about Brian Rocchio, right? And I'm going back to, let's see, they've got Tanya that they have, who's a shortstop that they could deal, right? That's a guy that they could end up trading if they want to. So when you look at this team and see Gabriel Arias, there's the guy I couldn't think of. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to get rid of him.
Arias. Okay.
All right. I'm fine. Trade him. Get me a starting pitcher for Gabriel Arias. I'm not worried on whether or not he ends up being a major league star like, some of the other guys they got rid of. Can't worry about that. Trying to win now. right? Trying to win this year. So Gabriel Arias was the guy I couldn't think of, along with Tanya. And so you've got enough young guys that you've showcased that should allow you to go make a trade and try and make this team a better team in the second half as they limped, like I said, into the All-Star break. So we'll see by July 30th if Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff, if those guys end up making a move, hopefully sooner rather than later. I don't want to wait. I don't want to give up games, right? I don't want to give up those 14 days or 16 days, whatever it is, until the All-Star break or however many games that might be, where I waited till the break and I end up losing the division by one game because I didn't make a trade soon enough. So let's hope they do something sooner rather than later. All right, let's get a break in right now, Reg. And when we come back here on the R&R podcast, we will take a look at who the Guardians selected with the first overall pick in the 2024 MLB draft. And I'll just give you a hint as we go to break. They love short middle infielders, and they took another one, and we'll tell you all about them when we come back right here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Travis Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Travis, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, everybody. Always want to tell you about our good friends at Cleveland Party Rentals. They're your go-to for memorable events and parties. Now, their approach is very simple. As I've been telling you, they treat your event as exactly as if it were their very own. So they're going to help you alleviate all the stress of the event coordination that you so often get. This way, you see, you can savor the moments that matter. They're dedicated to offering you pricing that's clear and completely free from hidden fees, and that's coupled with one of the most robust cancellation policies in the industry in case maybe you get a change in plans, right? That happens once in a while. They have a tailgate package I want to tell you about. You can lock in your games for the season or even put your Super Bowl party together in the summer so you're ready to go in February. Here's what you get. High-quality outdoor screen and projector with immersive sound, double bowl frozen drink machine, a popcorn machine, 2-tap beer jockey box. You get a front row seat. Everybody gets that. It allows you to unleash the ultimate entertainment experience. That game day bundle I just told you about, I know you heard me. It's a complete package that transforms your backyard into a cinematic and gaming paradise. Here's the best part. Ready for this now? Get ready to write this down. Listeners, all of our Reghi Roda podcast listeners, use code CLEPartiesRock. I'll spell that for you. CLEPARTIESROCK for 10% off your booking. Do it now at Cleveland Party Rentals.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Hey gang, the Roadman Kenny Roda here from the R&R podcast. If you've been in an accident, first of all, I hope you're okay. Secondly, if you are and your car's not, then guess what? You need to look no further than Newark Auto Body and Zanesville Auto Body. Why? They're safe, they're reliable, their collision repairs are what they do best. It's their business. They are located in Newark and in Zanesville, and they are a local family-run and veteran-owned business serving those areas, Newark, Zanesville, and the surrounding areas. And how about this? They work with all the insurance providers to make your experience hassle-free. We're already down in the dumps because your car is dinged up, right? You don't need a hassle from the insurance company. That's the other great thing about them. Plus, you can ask about their special discounts for U.S. military veterans. You want to check them out online? Here's where you go. autobodyofnewark.com or autobodyofzanesville.com. And to get your repair started today, instead of checking them out online, pick up the phone, do it the old-fashioned way. Call 740-899-4111 and tell them Reghi and Roda sent you.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we continue with the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by Cleveland Party Rentals and Newark Auto Body. If you're looking for a good time, Cleveland Party Rentals is definitely the place to go. And if your car or vehicle or whatever you're driving needs some work, then Newark Auto Body will take care of you. Just tell them Reghi and Roda sent you. All right, Michael. For the first time in franchise history, your Cleveland Cavaliers have had the first overall pick many times. Cleveland Browns have had the first overall pick many times. Guardians/Indians have never had it. And with the first overall pick in this year's draft, we're taping this on a Sunday night, and earlier today, they selected from Australia via Oregon State University, second baseman Travis Bazzana, with that first overall pick. And Reg, he was in the conversation with everybody that I talked to, along with Charlie Condon, the third baseman outfielder from Georgia, who led the country in homers and batting average. He was in the conversation with guys like Jack Caglione, the first baseman, left-handed pitcher from Florida, J.J. Weatherholt from West Virginia, and others. So they went and they took Travis Bazzana as the number one overall pick. And I'll be honest with you, Reg, I wanted Charlie Condon. I wanted that power right-handed bat that they haven't had in a long, long time. Homegrown, last one that was homegrown, that was really a power right-handed bat that worked in the first round was Manny Ramirez. Yeah, you could throw Lindor in there, but okay. He eventually came into hitting home runs and that, but Ramirez is the last outfielder, right? That fits that mold of a first round pick. So I wanted them to take Condon. They know more than I do. They should. They have more information than I do. They should, right? So they elected to go with Bazzana, and I'm just curious, haven't heard yet, if he took less money to say, yes, I'll be the number one pick, taking less than the 10.5 slotted amount for the signing bonus. I'm wondering if that factored in at all, because that's something it sounds like the Dolans would push their front office to do.
Couple of my ESPN baseball buddies, and Ken, I did not call college baseball this year. So I did not see young Mr. Bazzana play. So I've seen him on tape, but yes, what you just brought up, I think, is a strong contributing factor. He took a little bit less money, I've been told. So now, left-handed bat, he's got pop, Kenny. He's got pop. There's no doubt about that. Playing with Oregon State, right? 26 bombs in 60 games, I believe. Pac-12 Player of the Year. So he's got all of that. Everybody knows about him. Young man, I think you said from Australia, right?
Yep.
Really good. Cape Cod, the Cape Cod lead, the very strong college summer league for the best baseball players in college baseball around the country. He did very well there last summer, hit 375 and 136 at bats. So evidently this young man has got pop, like I said, left-handed bat, can swing the bat. I'm with you. Again, for what it's worth, I would have taken Condon, the right-handed bat that was a strong home run hitter in college baseball, playing for a real good program. All right, so we're going to see what Travis Bazzana's got. Kenny, I'll tell you something here. And you know what? He's 21 years old. You know, he's played 3 years in Oregon State college baseball in the Pac-12. I'd bring him up. I'd bring him up in September and let him get let him get a little bit of burn, man. Put him in and let him play a few games, right? Who knows? I mean, you may say, well, but Kenny today, I don't know. I think expecting a guy, especially, this is a number one overall draft pick now. So to have him, in a couple years in minor league baseball, why? Let's see what he's got at the major league level. I think the Guardians should do that, and I think they can afford to do that and get him some run at the big league level this year.
He said he wanted to be drafted by the Guardians and he wanted to contribute to them winning a World Series this year. So, what you're saying is what he was saying, right? He's hoping that will be the case. Here's the thing. First ever second baseman taken number 1 overall in the draft. First ever player from Australia selected number 1 overall in the draft. Now, I was looking at all the different scouting reports on him and everything like that. As a hitter, he graded out at 65 on a scale of 20 to 80. So not great, but not bad, right? You mentioned the power. 28 homers. He did hit 407 this year. And here's the other thing I think factored into it. Stephen Kwan, where'd he play his college ball at, Reg?
Oregon State.
Yeah. How about Adley Rutschman from the Orioles? Where'd he play his college ball?
And I really like Adley Rutschman.
Yeah, right.
I think he's outstanding. He was the number 1 overall pick as well out of Oregon State.
Yeah.
So,
Nick Madrigal from the Cubs. So he played at Oregon State. Trevor Larnach, he played at Oregon State. So there's kind of been a pipeline, right? To Major League Baseball of either first round picks or guys who've had success because Kwani was a 5th pick in 2018 by the Guardians. So I think they trust that as well. Maybe more so than a kid that was a walk-on at Georgia, redshirted, but in the last 2 years hit more home runs than anybody in college baseball. And like I said, 37 bombs this year, led the country in batting average. So high average as well as high power numbers. So that's the guy I wanted because they haven't had a 6'6" right-handed bat like that since the big sexy. Oh, look at me. I'm dead sexy. Richie Sexson, right? And that's what they lack, in my opinion, that right field power bat or that first base power bat to go along with Josh Naylor. Okay. Corner bat. They could play him at third base. Well, no, Ramirez is there. So he's going to be an outfielder, first baseman, or DH. So this kid that they drafted, we're going to go with Bazinga, as a lot of fans I'm sure will call him. He's a second baseman. So what does this do to Andres Jimenez, Reg? If this kid's a second baseman, do they move Jimenez to shortstop? Where he's been a shortstop, but he's transitioned to a Platinum Glove winning second baseman. But if this, and I wrote and this is the quote from Major League Baseball Network. Bear with me, Reg. I wrote this down on Travis Bazzana, right? And this is from, let's see, where was it? I'll find it on my, here, this is from Danny O'Dowd, former assistant GM of the Guardians. Best swing decisions in college baseball, meaning strikes and balls. They felt he had the best swing decisions in college baseball. His in-game adjustments at the plate, his aptitude for adjusting not in the next at bat, but in the same at bat at the plate were off the charts. He's a grinder and a hard worker. Okay. And so, those are the things that were said about Travis Bazzana by Dan O'Dowd. And the reason maybe he gets there, like you said, at the end of this year, if not this year, then next year, the bat is quick to the big leagues. Yeah. He needs some work defensively. And Dan O'Dowd asked Harold Reynolds, center field or second base? What do you think this kid's position is? And Harold, former second baseman, oh, no, he's a second baseman. But as we know, you draft or you're a free agent or whatever you are, you sign with the Guardians and you play short or second base, they're going to look to put you in left, center, or right field. It's just what they do. So maybe that's how they get him in the lineup quicker, is make him a center fielder, keep, Jimenez at second. But since they haven't found that shortstop from all those guys they've tried this year, why not move Jimenez to short and Travis Bazzana, make him your second baseman?
Yeah, it's worth a shot. I think that's something that they may have in the offing. I'm sure Jimenez would be good with that moving over, I would think. But, Kenny, the main thing about this is, again, defensively, that can be worked with and have different variables attached to it. But you know how it is today, especially we're talking about at the top of a draft. Can the kid swing the bat? And I think that's why, Kenny, they went to get him here now, because that's why they went with the 3-year college player.
Okay.
21 years of age, because again, that is the quicker path to the major leagues. Think about it. If you took an 18-year-old kid just coming out of high school, even at the best of times, that's going to be 3 to 4 years before you could get here and help. I think that's a big reason they decided to go with the 3-year college player in a good program who's shown a lot of ability to hit the ball with pop, right? A guy that can hit doubles and home runs, and they'll worry about the defensive piece in it, when he gets here and shows, hopefully, that he can hit big league pitching and be a contributor.
Well, we're going to find out if they made the right decision in about 5 to 7 years, Reg, and I hope they didn't pass on a couple of, Paul Bunyan type guys in Jack Caglione from Florida and Charlie Condon from Georgia in a time when home runs are what you need to do offensively to win consistently and win championships. So we'll see if Travis Bazzana is the guy that ends up being the right pick in this draft, as he was the first overall pick by your Cleveland Guardians. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope this works. Do you have faith in that front office, in Antonetti and in Chernoff and some of the younger guys as far as position players go, Reg?
Not as much as pitching.
Right.
No, not as much as pitching. But, of course, they have been the guys at the top in those 2 top chairs administratively, right, for this organization for quite a while now. And overall, they've been pretty successful. Again, now those are going to say, well, the hell, they won a World Series. Well, I get it, and that's the bottom line, But I do, I have faith that these guys can see a kid, especially a kid in college, and project him. Can he or can he not? Because I'll be honest with you. I think I don't know. They may tell me I'm wrong, and they don't want to put that. I think by next year they expect him to be a strong contributor here in Cleveland. I really do. And if not, I think they're going to look at maybe not a miss, but it's not happening as quickly as we thought. Again, I was surprised, again, not surprised. I just thought they'd go with the top 1 or 2 high school players at 18 years of age now. But again, you factor in saying, well, whoever we take has got to be ready to help virtually right away and help this team at the major league level be a contending championship level, World Series winning type level. Well, it makes a lot of sense. So I went with a guy that's got 3 years of college experience and showed he can hit the hell out of the ball, for a good program in 3 years on the college side.
Travis Bazzana, or from the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Bazinga, the number 1 overall pick. Good day, mate. The last time we had an Aussie helping us win some games was Matthew Dellavedova. That's right. And so maybe Delhi will help him adjust to professional sports in Cleveland. We'll see how that plays out. All right, Reg, that'll do it for us here on this edition of the R&R podcast. We'll see how those 5 All-Stars do for Cleveland in the All-Star game. We'll see how Jose Ramirez does in the home run derby. No Guardians ever won the home run derby, so we'll check that all out. And then when we get back together, Reg, we'll talk about the second half of the season, and that will also be right about the time we start talking about training camp for the Cleveland Browns, Michael Reghi.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that, Kenny. Can't wait for, I started a lot of my college football preseason works, almost season here for 2024. So I always take an upgrade in my demeanor, Ken, when we get closer to football. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's, sometimes the summer gets a little bit long. So I'm always happy when we start to know that the pigskins are going to be flying here real soon.
Yeah, it should be a fun season all the way around. High school for me at WHBC, college with the Buckeyes loaded, championship or bust, and of course the Browns with Deshaun Watson supposedly coming back healthy, supposed to challenge for a Super Bowl this year, and we'll have all that covered for you right here on the Reghi and Roda podcast. Shout out to our outstanding producer, Ty Cordts, who makes all of this listenable for you out there in the podcatosphere. Reg, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next time, bud.
Yeah, Kenny, you two have a good week. Bye. You guys have a good week. We'll do it next week.